Hey audio friends, Graham here from the recordingrevolution.com, and today let's talk about the danger of mixing in isolation. What I mean is the danger of just pulling up your tracks and mixing and hoping that it sounds good. It's mixing blind. You have no idea what sounds good. And here's the preface. We are, as engineers and mixers, and I'm lumping myself in this equation, are a little bit stubborn and prideful about how not only how good we are, but that we think we know what a good mix is. And we're a little stubborn because we assume, yeah, I know what a good mix is, and all I got to do is use the tools in front of me to get that good mix. The truth is that no matter how much of a good mixer you are, and no matter how much of good music you're aware of and you should know what a good mix is, that doesn't mean you should then pull up the tracks and blindly mix without any reference to the outside world, any reference to other mixes. So that's nothing new that I've shared. Maybe it's new for you if you're new to the channel or new to the blog, but I've been sharing the concept of using reference tracks while you mix for years now, because they are one of the best hacks you could ever do. They inform you not only to what a good mix sounds like, period, in terms of balance and arrangement, but what a good mix sounds like in your room, on your speakers, with your problematic, setup, my problematic setup, on your converters, on your headphones, whatever. But let's take that a step further, because don't just assume that there's just one blanket way a mix should sound. What I want to show you today is that it's not just the dangerous thing to mix without a reference track, but it's almost dangerous to mix with only one reference track, because reference tracks are very, very different. If you listen to some of your favorite mixes and really zero in on the tone and the low end and the drum balance and the vocal balance, you'll realize quickly that some of your favorite mixes can sound radically different, right? Because there's no one size fits all of a good mix. And this is a huge part of what I'm sharing today. So, for example, I'm mixing an album right now for a worship band. And so the reference tracks are going to be live recorded songs, because that's what they recorded, a live worship night with the band. And so they've sent me 4 reference tracks. I included one of my own as well that I thought would be a good one to throw in the mix, of bands in a live setting, all mixed to sound big, hype, and live. And in isolation, I might enjoy each one of these and say, yeah, they're all good, they're all equal. But if you stack them up next to each other and we're going to solo through these, what you're going to hear is that these live worship mixes that are all done well sound very different from each other. Okay, very, very different. And they're going to help inform me and help inform you to what tonal and balance and mixing decisions to make in the mix. And there's different things to draw from them. So let me just give you an example of how different these things can sound. Here is the first reference. Sounds great. Here's another one. We'll be a church ready for you. Every heart longing for our King. We sing, even so, Lord Jesus. Very different. We'll discuss. Here's another one. Totally different. Here's a fourth one. And yet one final one. Impossible things in your name, they shall be done. Unstoppable God, let your glory glory on. Impossible things in your name. And back to the first one. Okay. The exercise there was simply to show you that these 5 songs all in the same genre, all done the same way. They're all very relatively current and respected in this genre in terms of sonic quality, and this is what everyone's shooting for. They sound totally different. Okay, they sound different tonally. Some are brighter than others. For example, this one compared to this one. Pretty close, but this one's super bright. We'll be a church ready for you, every heart. Right, like more top end, just it's more exciting, more bright. You know, compare to this. We'll be a church ready for you, seated on high, undefeated. Makes that track sound really muffled and rounded off. Which one is better? Which one is right? It probably depends on what type of speakers you're listening to, but the point is that all of these are signed off as good, and yet they sound radically different. So tonally, I noticed some are more muffled and some are brighter than others. Then 2 of the 5, the drums are cranked, kick and snare specifically, and at least the compression. So whether it's the parallel compression or they're just really pushed up hot in the mix level-wise, they sound really, really drum heavy, and they're really squashing the mix. They're taking up a lot of the dynamics. So for example, this one is kind of medium on the drums, like real neutral. Compare it to this. We'll be a church ready for you, every heart longing for our King. Right, the kick is just like smacking you in the face, right? Then you got this one. Sounds nice and tucked in there compared to this one, drums. Impossible things in your name, they shall be done. Really compressed. Just, you know, it's just on some of my speakers, it just steals the mix. It doesn't sound good. On headphones, the ones I'm listening to right now, it sounds fine, but very different drum levels all over the place. Same thing with vocal levels. So what I wanted to just, why I'm showing this to you is that this is a eye-opening lesson in referencing and mixing and realize, what are we shooting for when we mix? I mean, I could give you tips all day long about how to EQ a kick drum and how to do parallel compression and what saturation can do for your mix, and even things like mixing in mono, which is so helpful. But if you want to know what you're shooting for, like how do you know if you have a good mix other than just you personally enjoying it, you need reference tracks, which means you need a professional mix that you already know sounds good everywhere on planet Earth, and that it's already been mastered and signed off by producers and probably a lot of other people. So multiple people agree that it sonically sounds competitive and commercially viable. You need at least one of those tracks in your session somewhere to flip back and forth at the same volume. So all of these masters are pulled down in volume by 10 dB or so. You need to be able to flip back between your mix and a pro mix to know what you're shooting for, but then take that one more step and consider at least a second reference when you're doing something, especially if you're unfamiliar with the material or unfamiliar with your room. Because if I just referenced, let's say, this track, then I'm going to bring up my kick and snare really hot to match that, to know that that's sounding good, when it might be too much, because this one, the Hillsong tune, sounds fine, but it's just the drums are tucked in. Like, it sounds a little more natural, a little more musical, and you're going to have your own taste, but you need to realize that when you mix in isolation away from any reference tracks and even just away from multiple reference tracks, you are mixing blind. It doesn't matter how good you are. The reference is such a fast and easy way to get your bearings, to wake up your ears, and to inform you as to what actually is good in your space, on your speakers, out of your converters, flaws, and everything. and it's super, super valuable. So something to think about. Let me know if you actually use reference tracks. Leave a comment below the video. Do you use reference tracks? If not, why not? And maybe you consider doing that. Let me know if you're going to do that. And two, if you do use reference tracks, do you use multiple reference tracks? And have you done an experiment like this where you've pulled in 3, 4, 5 of your favorite songs in the same genre and see how radically different the mixes might be? If not, I highly suggest it. Let me know if you're going to do this exercise and maybe just spend 15 minutes playing around with some reference tracks at the same volume and just take note of how different they can sound. That's it for today, my friends. Subscribe to the videos if they're helpful and if you want more mixing and recording content. And if you want to jump on the mailing list where I send my best material, jump on it. It's right there on the link in the video and below the video. I'm going to send you some free goodies, free training, and all sorts of stuff that I don't post anywhere else to help you make better music with the gear you already have in the studio you already have. Have a great, great weekend. We'll see you on another video soon. Take care.